Mr. President. Mr. President, last week, the Committee on Environment and Public Works held a hearing on the nomination of Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. The hearing was really about the future of this agency and how we can get it back to doing the job that it was meant to do from the very beginning. We are blessed, Mr. President, in this country with enormous natural resources. Our goal should be to use these resources responsibly in ways that protect our environment and help make our economy strong. Over the past 8 years, the leaders of the Environmental Protection Agency have created broad and legally questionable new regulations that undermine the American people's faith in the agency. The political leaders of this agency have been reckless, irresponsible, and arrogant. A course of correction is long overdue, and it's exactly what we're going to get. Now, if you have any doubts that the EPA lost its way, you could just look at two of the biggest environmental scandals we've seen in a long, long time. In the summer of 2015, there was what became known as the Gold King Mine disaster. The Environmental Protection Agency spilled 3 million gallons of toxic wastewater into a river in Colorado. This was water filled with toxic substances like arsenic and lead. It flowed to New Mexico and Utah through the land of the Navajo Nation and the Southern Ute Indian tribe. Mr. President, there are 200,000 people who drink water from the river system that the EPA poisoned. Farmers and ranchers couldn't use the water for their crops or their animals. The other disaster that the Environmental Protection Agencies helped to cause was what happened in Flint, Michigan. The EPA failed to do the proper oversight. As a result, thousands of children were exposed to high levels of lead in their drinking water. The agency knew about the dangers to the public health and for months did nothing to warn the people. These are just two scandals where the Environmental Protection Agency actually harmed people's health because the EPA was negligent. There are also many ways that the agency has harmed families and the American economy, not by accident, but intentionally. It's issued thousands of pages of regulation trying to shut down the entire coal industry in the United States. Since 2009, the Environmental Protection Agency has come out with nearly 200 new regulations. According to the American Action Forum, the total cost of all this new red tape is about $340 billion. The agency has piled enormous new restrictions and costs onto American families and businesses, all to produce minuscule benefits. One of them was the so-called Clean Power Plan. States sued to block this destructive bureaucratic overreach. The courts had to step in and tell Washington, not so fast. We should be looking for ways to make American energy as clean as we can, as fast as we can, without raising costs for American families. That's not what the Environmental Protection Agency did with its power regulations. Oh, no. The EPA also put out a new rule that dramatically expanded its own control over what it calls waters of the United States. The agency declared that it has control over things like irrigation ditches and backyard ponds all across America. 2 different courts have blocked this rule from taking effect. Why? Because it goes far beyond the agency's own authority. For 8 years now, the leaders of the EPA have not had their priorities straight. They've been pursuing a political agenda instead of focusing on what should be the agency's core mission. The Environmental Protection Agency was created for a reason. It was created because America needed someone to perform this mission. Now, there's a right way to do the job. We can strike the right balance so that we protect our environment while allowing our economy to grow. My home state of Wyoming is one of the most pristine states in the country, one of the most beautiful places in the world, as well as one of the most energy-rich states in the country. Wyoming has struck the right balance. We've done it successfully, and so have many other states. Now, we can address threats to our environment best through the cooperation of states, towns, Indian tribes, and Washington, a cooperation. The quality of America's air, water, and land are local concerns as much as they are national concerns. The Environmental Protection Agency should not try to dictate regulations from Washington without consulting its partners at all levels. Much of the work that the EPA is intended to give states a chance to take action first. Federal regulators are meant to be a backstop, acting when states fail or communities fail to act. Restoring this proper order and restoring the partnership of states with the EPA is essential to making sure people see the agency as legitimate once again. The agency needs to learn to listen before it acts. We can also restore the Environmental Protection Agency by restating its commitment to the rule of law. That's why the American people elect a Congress, because of the rule of law. The agency must enforce the laws as they are written by Congress. The agency cannot write the laws, can't ignore the parts of the laws that it doesn't like, although that's exactly what this EPA has been doing. Now, we all know that the EPA used to do very good work. In the past, it had protected America's environment while understanding that there needs to be reasonable regulations that allow people to use our natural resources. Every American wants clean air, clean water, and common sense protection for our species. That won't change. We need the EPA to do its job, and we need it to do the job right. Through 6 hours of questioning before our committee last week, Scott Pruitt showed that he understands the need to return the Environmental Protection Agency back to its proper course. He showed he's committed to working as a partner with Americans all across the country to find the best ways to address the threats to our environment. His record as the Attorney General of Oklahoma showed that he's committed to restoring and maintaining the rule of law. I'm confident Attorney General Pruitt will be able to right the ship at the EPA. I'm confident that he can restore the balance between the benefits the agency can deliver for Americans with the costs that it imposes. As chairman of the Committee on Environment and Public Works, I am committed to making sure that the Senate exercises appropriate oversight to make sure that happens.